His specialism is artificial intelligence and computer science, and one of his interests as well is the topic of what we're speaking tonight, the environment. So without further ado, he's come all the way from London, so I'll give him the rest of the night. Dr Usama Hassan.
Thank you. Yeah, no. Thank you. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Right, here, we've been with the name of God. And I'm going to start by reciting from the Quran. Fadlun, did you recite from Surah Al-Rahman? You normally do. You did?
Go ahead.
He did. Then I won't recite it again, but I'll read the meaning. I'm going to end by reciting a poem, actually, by one of the greatest English poets, I think. But in between, I'll just talk about Islam and the environment. So, Surah Al-Rahman we often quote. It's one of the most beautiful surahs in the Quran. It's entitled The Most Merciful. And the translation goes something like this: in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. The merciful God. He taught the Quran. He created human beings. He taught them eloquence. The sun and the moon run by on a course accounted and determined. And the stars and the trees bow down in adoration. And the earth he has raised it high, and he has set the balance, that you may not transgress in the balance. And establish fair measure with justice, and again do not transgress in the balance. And the earth he has placed it for his creation. In it are fruits and palm trees with the sheath of fruit, and the shrubs holding seeds and sweet-smelling flowers. So then which of the favours of your Lord will you deny? Now that's the opening to that surah, to that chapter, the most merciful. And the rest of the surah, for those familiar with it, of course know, that refrain occurs every 2 or 3 verses. Which of the favours of your Lord will you deny? So it's a very powerful and emotive surah. But the key point there is about the creation of the heaven and the earth, and the sense of balance, equilibrium, you could say, the cosmic balance. And do not transgress the balance, do not upset the divine order, which is how the world has been created in harmony. So, obviously it's a huge topic, the environment. People have been campaigning about it for years, for decades. I'd just like to talk about just some issues related especially to Muslims. But firstly, why should we look after the earth? And obviously I apologise if some of this has already been said today, because I wasn't here. I don't know exactly what was said, but inshallah, if it hasn't been said, then it's something new. If it has been said, it is emphasis, and it's good to drill home some of these points. Why should we look after the earth? Now, there are many reasons. Of course, there are purely secular reasons, if you like, people would say, based on the survival of our species and looking after, in a kind of very materialistic way, people will say. Because if we destroy the earth, we can't exploit it anymore. I mean, that's the view of some people, basically. If you destroy the earth, you can't make any more money out of it. But certainly for Muslims and for believers and people of God, it's because the earth is sacred, for a start. Allah says in the Quran, "Inna al-arda lillah," the earth belongs to God. It is described as a blessed earth. Many Muslims forget this. It's in the Quran. It says, وَبَارَكَ فِيهَا وَقَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا فِي أَرْبَعَةِ أَيَّامٍ. God blessed the earth. So the whole of the earth actually is blessed. It's a place of blessing. And He determined the staple diet, or the staple food in every land. It's called qut. قَدَّرَ فِيهَا أَقْوَاتَهَا. So that's why Muslims understood there's always that's why you get different foods and fruits and vegetables in different seasons. That is the determination of God. He determined the staple food of every land and every season, which reflects the local environment and reflects the needs of the people there, the creatures, animals and human beings. So for example, in hot countries, the food there, or the fruits which are produced, are suitable for that environment. Dates, olives, figs, whatever. In colder countries, you will get other fruit and vegetables, which again, are suitable. So in Britain, potatoes, I suppose.
Cabbage, carrots.
Number one. Cabbage and carrots, exactly.
Not at the same
And I'm sure many of us understand, this is kind of nonsense when you have strawberries in the middle of winter. You have all this food and vegetable being flown across and pumping CO2 into the atmosphere. Enormous amount of money is spent in bringing food across the world, and largely to satisfy our taste and our greed, really, for luxury food. We don't need strawberries in winter. We can do quite well without. It's total extravagance and luxury. And part of the wider message, apart from doing all these actions, it is a change of mentality, a change of the way we live our lives and the way we look upon things. That we have to return to, as much as possible, doing without all the luxuries and trying to live a simple life and being content with what we have. And this is the central teaching of all of the prophets: Prophet Muhammad, Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Krishna, anybody, any world scripture, the Quran, the Bible, any other scriptures, the Hindu, Buddhist scriptures, they will all teach the same thing: be content with what you have. God or divinity determines. Some people have more, some people have less. The key thing is to be content with what you have. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, and Jesus Christ taught something similar, Buddha taught something very similar. He said, richness is not having lots of wealth. True richness is contentment of the heart. That's the teaching of the Prophet. So that's really what it's all about. And I'll come back to that, I'll touch on that really. It's a change of attitude. So it's the way we look after things. I met a chap called Hakeem Archuleta recently. He's from America, New Mexico. He does a lot of work on spiritual healing and herbal healing, etc. And he told me this astonishing fact. He said in the United States, they worked out that the average meal, the distance traveled by the food to get to the average American dinner table is, guess how much? How many miles? How far does the food travel to get to the table? Take a guess. 100?
10,000.
500? 10,000. The answer he gave me was 1,500 miles. 1,500 miles. That's quite incredible. And again, that's extravagance. I mean, that's hardly the size of Britain, isn't it? I mean, that's longer than distance. It's the average. So food is coming from vast distances because of this crazy commercialism that we have now, and the way the corporate food, the food chains are, and the way the supermarkets. Actually, I shop at Tesco and Asda's, but we have to put pressure on them to return to local farming, the farmers' markets, or organic, not homegrown, but locally produced produce. To support your local farmers and shops and greengrocers, etc. This is extremely important because all of these things are going out of balance, as it says in the Quran. So the earth is blessed, and the rain is also blessed. It says in the Quran, وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً مُبَارَكًا. Blessed water comes down from the heavens. So again, many Muslims forget this. It says in the Quran simply, every time it rains, it says holy water, literally. It's in the Quran. Holy water coming down from the heavens. It doesn't need to be touched by a saint or come from some special place, Mecca or Medina. It doesn't have to be Zamzam water. But every drop of rain is sacred rain. It's holy rain. It's blessed rain, because this is what produces, or helps to produce, the crops and the vegetables by the grace of God. And that sense of the sacred is key to the Muslim. It's one of the things which we're losing in the modern world, which is again one of the reasons why we have so many disasters really in the world and in the human condition. Another reason is, so the whole earth is sacred and it's blessed. And the Prophet ﷺ described it as a mosque. He said in a famous hadith, he said, وَجُعَلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. He said, the whole earth is a place of worship for me. Translated as mosque, but masjid, it means a place of worship, a temple you could say, a place of worship, a place to worship God. The whole earth. And the means of purification. So wherever you are, if you can't find water, you just use the earth or sand or whatever it is there. And you just symbolically touch it and you wipe your hand and face. And that's enough for ablution, and you can pray anyway. And he said, this is not like people who misuse their religion and decided they could only pray in a mosque, for example, a purpose-built mosque, or a church, or a synagogue, or a temple. It's a key teaching. That's why you will often find Muslims, when they're outdoors and picnic or something, they'll pray in the parks, they'll pray in the streets, they'll pray on the carpet in the lecture theatre, in their office. Because everywhere, the whole earth belongs to God. And the whole earth is actually a giant mosque. With a beautiful multicolored dome. I mean, that's why Muslims put domes over their mosques, because it's a reminder of the earth. But, the earth really has a very beautiful dome up there.